Good morning, it is Brian here. It is the Art of Startup War. What that means is it is another week where we bring on an entrepreneur, a great company that we have invested money in. That means that we believe this company has the ability to break through and build a billion-dollar company. That is the only things on our mind when we're putting our investments into these companies. This one in particular is absolutely fascinating. And we're going to go under the skin of Latitudo 40, and we're going to look at what the company really represents. I love the fact of combining space and Earth anyway. I think it's just a cool, awesome thing. I love even more taking advantage of all those wonderful satellites that have been sitting there and continue to sit there and continue to grow and continue to get more to actually give us data to make this world a better place. And the technology that has been built into this particular company will blow your minds. Now, as always with investors, I'm not saying to you you should invest in this company because we're not giving investment advice here. What I am doing you is a favor. I am coming on this podcast to tell you why we invested in this company, what we love about this company, and where we believe this company is going to go. And you will hopefully get all of the answers, all of the questions answered during this podcast to help you make at least the decision to pick up the phone and have a conversation to dig a little bit deeper into it. So I love doing it because I get to boast about the companies that I feel great about. And this is one of them. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Good morning, Brian.
This is a big
Happy to be
day.
here.
It's a big day. It's a big day because we're going to talk about you, and I'm going to try really hard not to talk about Italy winning the European Cup yesterday, which was pretty special.
Yes. Today is a special day for us after all this period, and we are on top of the Europe at the moment. We won very important match yesterday night, and we had a very big holiday, a big party yesterday night after the match.
I am absolutely stunned that you made it to this podcast today. I feel it's like a miracle that you've even turned up. I would say 99% of Italy are good for absolutely nothing today. So I'm very appreciative that you came here and that you're going to join us. And in the same way that the Italians dominated in the European Cup, you are going to dominate in this space. So look, let's start by talking a little bit about the company itself. Let's look at the problem that you're solving. I want to dig into it. You're going to start talking about the problem, and then I'm going to dig into it and pull a few layers back afterwards because I see so many even additional opportunities in the space that you're in. But let's take it from the beginning. What is the major problem that's being solved in the world, and where do you think this can be taken to?
Yeah. We are addressing a problem in urban space. So the city are growing. In 10 years, to 75% of the people on the earth will live in cities. So we need to create better place for these citizens. There are a lot of soil consumption, exposure to pollution, and the consumption of the green. So the idea from beside Latitude 40 is to offer a tool to monitor large cities, learning from the past, monitoring the present, and shape the future. So we can offer a tool for a perfect planning, monitoring, and design of the cities of the future.
Absolutely incredible. And it's so a couple of numbers there that you said. Number one, 75% of all people are going to live in cities is an incredible number. What that says is that we're really all urban beings when it comes to us. We need to be surrounded by a lot of other people so that we feel safer, more secure, and able to thrive on a better level. But there's nobody watching the cities. It was really simple when we lived on the countryside. We're beside the ocean, we're living on the countryside, we're tending to our crops. The air is fine because we don't have any worries there. We don't have that many people around us we have to share even the carbon dioxide with. Like, we're just in a place whereby we can grow. But as soon as we move to cities, there's no real monitoring. There's nobody telling me today in Santa Monica that this is a day, other than some smog reports that will come through, but that Santa Monica over the next year, over the previous year, has deteriorated in certain areas that are going to make my health worse or make my living standards worse or make me not happier in those cities. Also, much more importantly, it's not telling us the immediate things that we can do to actually help fix that. And I always remember the first time we spoke, and you're like, Brian, it's real simple. You know, if there are not enough trees or not enough greenery on roofs, if we're not helping with our environment to actually create a better city, then how do we expect the problem to be solved? The only thing that's going to happen is it's going to get worse. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I mean, like, there's no sane human being that's going to disagree with what you just said. However, how do we know on a minute-by-minute basis what's happening? And that's when you said, because we control the satellites. We control the information that's coming through from it. So let's talk a little bit about that and where you got that idea and then what the implementation looked like, because it's absolutely fascinating.
Yes, part of our team worked for more than 20 years in space industry, so we know that acquiring data and processing data from satellite is a complex work. So this is actually is used for niche market, for research and development, because you need a very huge hardware infrastructure, knowledge on different topics from the remote sensing, GIS, IT and software. So the idea is to simplify this complexity, to create a single platform that can work for urban planners, for city decision makers, for construction, for real estate, that can acquire images, download, process, analyze the data with artificial intelligence, and offer just simple, actionable insight on a map that you can use to take the right decision in the right time to protect the future of the cities, but the future of every place in the world. And the scalability of this platform is related to the technology, because satellite every day, each satellite take a lot of picture of our planet, so we can monitor with the same technology Santa Monica, Rome or Beijing without any change in the platform, just to take an image of Santa Monica or Rome or Beijing.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely phenomenal, because if we take right now, almost actually, if I even step back and we think about what do cities compare themselves with, right? The European Cup, the cities or the countries will compare themselves to who's the best, right? The Eurovision Song Contest over in Europe, the countries will compare themselves to who's the best. Even if we look at reports like Bloomberg reports, which are which countries have the greatest innovation in the world, so you can watch. And they use measurements, which are very quantitative measurements, which I always really like which country has got the most amount of patents applied for. That's a good measurement. Which country has the most tech density? That's a good measurement. Which countries have got the most amount of unicorns that are coming through? That's a good measurement as well. And folks like Bloomberg will create these reports with very, very quantitative measurement based on this. But where I have continually been disappointed is where cities, our countries, quantify why it's better to live there based on health issues and based on that city being a better place. As I find that whenever there's a comparison of which is the best city, it's about where has the more tourism and which has got more jobs. Like, come on, if we're dead, if we're not happy, if we're not leaving to our maximum, what's the point in this? So when I selfishly saw your technology and thought, I want to help build a scoring metrics, a scorecard for every single city in the world that shows where they are versus their obligations to their citizens on every single one of the levels. And we're going to talk in a second about the different things that you'll measure, because I think, again, people will then understand why this is so important. But I want to know, where's Dublin? And I don't want excuses. I want to know what they're doing about it. If we're sitting down there in the lower percentile and we're down there with China as far as what we're doing to actually help our citizens live better lives in a healthier environment, and we're not moving the bar, then that's a huge problem. But if we're down there with China and we are moving the bar, then it's okay, because our scorecard is improving. And this is all about making our cities accountable for the services that we pay extremely well for them to provide. I get a little bit angry because they should be doing this. And I love the fact that we can bring something like this out and we can say, if you are a good politician, citizen, and you are doing right by your citizens, well done. We're going to applaud you. And we're going to help you get back in again because you're doing the right thing. But if you're doing the wrong thing by your people, oh yeah, now we want to know about it. So, and then we can get them to change it. Is your mind in a similar direction, or how do you see this really unfolding over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. The logic is, I totally agree with what you said, and the logic is that we can offer transparency because we can offer the capability to analyze not only the center of the city where the most big part of investment are dedicated to the center of the cities, but we can offer also the neighbor to become more inclusive because this can analyze the quality of life in different part of the city and in different cities. So the logic is in the future we are working on to give a second step. In a couple of years we would like to become a simulation platform for the future action of the city because we have big data. We can collect more than 10 years of data on greenery, on temperature, on quality of life and so on, and we can help the decision makers or the urban planner to simulate, verify what are the results of specific action. So if I plant more trees or if I change the roof of the material of the roof of the buildings or I change the traffic in the city, what can happen? So the logic is not only monitor the present and learn from the past, but shape the future. I can use all this data to find the right solution. And this is the future of our company, to become a complete tool for the design of the smart city of the future.
I love this. And is there an optimum amount of greenery per capita in cities? And is there a large disparity on what I want to touch on each one of these one by one because they're all incredibly important in their own area. As a whole, they provide a big picture, but individually, I think it gets fascinating because I have a feeling that this is a leading question I'm giving you. I have a feeling that some cities are terrible and other cities are incredibly good.
Yeah, the logic is also that city can learn from the best in class. So they can analyze, is a tool also to monitor the competition between cities. So if I am a city and my city is not performing very well in terms of quality of life, I can start an analysis and verify one of other city in my area or a city in another continent, how they improved the quality of life of the city, and so how the trend changed in time. So this is a very powerful tool also to identify the best practices that other cities used to improve the quality, the resiliency, the inclusivity, and the greenery of the city, so to have a better place to live.
Very good. And then, so just sorry, on that point, is there an optimum amount of greenery per capita that you would look for? Do some cities, like, is it that there would be, I don't know, 20% of a city should be green or 10% or 15%? And then are there certain cities that you believe are extremely good and other cities that are not?
Yeah, the logic is that typical the green per capita is an average value per city. So typically in Italy we have 9 square meter per capita, but it's clear that in the city you have part of the city that have, for example, 100 square meter per capita, and if you see the part of the city, the most popular, the most not rich part of the city, they have 0 square meter per capita. So in total you are all the threshold, but it's clear that there are part of the city where the greenery is not present. And now we are starting a work with the Oxford University to identify how the green can affect the mental disease of the people.
Oh, very
How the
good.
green can improve the mental health of the people in the city.
Very good, because that's the big point here, right? It's how you can take macro data and micro data to actually be able to solve very specific solutions that are required in minute areas, and then also to tie that into output and to be able to say, look, as a city, if you start doing this, then you're going to reduce the amount of hospitalization, healthcare you're going to need, crime that you're going to have in areas. It's all tied in. How is the temperature tied into this as well? So I see the greenery. I think that's fairly obvious, and I love the way that we can actually break it down per sector. But what about the temperature? You're measuring the temperature as well. What's the purpose for
Yeah,
that?
this is another big problem of all the large cities, because in city typically you have this phenomenon that is the urban heat islands, where there are part of the city with a gap in temperature of 2, 3, or 4 degrees, and this can create low thermal comfort for the people, in particular during the summer, but this is a big problem for part of the city, like young part of the citizen and elderly. So in this case, we can identify the urban heat bubbles, heat islands, and can give a suggestion how to solve this problem. Where the heat islands are located in city, and typical, the heat islands are more important in terms of gap of temperature where the greenery is lower. So the city is an ecosystem. All is connected. More is the urbanization of the city, less is the greenery, more is this phenomenon of urban heat island. And it's clear that also with climate change, this problem will grow in near future. So we need to find now the solution, and solution are trees, because trees not only can reduce temperature at ground but can capture a lot of CO2. So this is another effect of greenery. More green you have in the city, lower is the level of PM2.5, PM10, and CO2.
Yeah, very powerful, and especially powerful because look, what we're talking about here is being able to give very specific output. Data is no use to anybody if we can't say what to do with the data to actually improve. And I think what everybody's hearing here is that all of this is about not just providing a dashboard. This is about providing a strategic plan about how you can make sure that parts of your city and your entire city are foolproof as far as being able to deal with the challenges that are going to come over the next 20 years. I love this. Tell me more points of data that you're able to capture.
Yeah. The logic is, at the moment we have all this data that we can collect from satellite. It's clear that we can go deeply in the analysis, because we can see object in the city. We can see how the building footprint is changing, so how the city is evolving in time, because we can detect how many buildings there is in a city, how many pools there is in a city. That is, for example, an indicator of richness of a part of the city. More pools I have in this city. We can identify green solar panels, and so to identify the capability to generate energy in a city, and the power to increase, because we can see how many roofs there are in a city, how many roofs are occupied by solar panel, and how many new solar panels, so the potential to create also a micro or a small grid, a small energy grid. Now, this is another important topic, the local energy community, where I produce the energy, where I consume this energy, so I have not the problem. And the city can decide to invest in a small grid, in a local production of energy, in particular in the city like Santa Monica or Naples in Italy, that 200 the day of the sun per year. So this can generate, and there is the effect of the transformation of the local blue hydrogen. So that, as I told, all is connected. A green city is a city that has greenery, but it's a green that has green infrastructure to support the development of the city.
Absolutely brilliant. I want to go because the product itself is a no-brainer product. Every citizen would want it for their city. Every politician should want it for their city. And because of where you're drawing your data from, there's no limit to the amount of data that you can have in. I want to actually take it to the technology because that's going to be your moat that protects you from anybody else coming in and trying to provide similar type services. Let's talk about the team that you have. Let's talk about how you put that team together and then the technology that they and you built to actually take the product to where it is right now. And what I'm trying to get to for other investors listening is what makes this so special? Like, is this just an API that sits on the layer of all of the satellites, which I know it's not, or is this something way sexier? Take me right into the product, but let's start with the team if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah. I think that we have a very strong team in this moment. First of all, because the founder of this company are friends. We worked together in other projects, in other companies for more than 10 years. And we 20, personally, I worked with our CTO, Mauro, for 10 years in the space industry. Vincenzo, our CMO, is a friend outside the working life. And Donato, that is the last member of the team, is a researcher, and he bring us the capability of the research, so to evolve the product with a research approach after his 10 years at the university. So around this team we created a multidisciplinary team of people that can manage the remote sensing, the GIS, the machine learning, artificial intelligence, and also the UX. So our product is designed around the customer needs, and we interact with the more than 50 municipalities in Europe to understand what are the data that they need. So the logic of our approach is our technology is unique because we can manage very easily all the data chain. So we
Yeah.
not are just the elaboration of satellite images, that is something that everything can do, but we can go deeply. We can transform this image in actionable insight because we can integrate the satellite data layer with city data layer, because we can acquire data directly from the open data of the city or closed data of the city, and the satellite and ground truth can work together to create this insight and give the point where to act. Our action is not just a map, but our product is a point where to go and see that there is a problem and take the decision to solve that problem.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. And how long were you working on this for?
Sorry?
How long were you working on this for?
Yeah, we started the company in 2017, not just to create a product. The idea is to help the industry with a new approach to the Earth observation. It's clear that after 1 year, we understood that this approach is not scalable because it's a consultancy approach. We decided to transform our idea, our way to change the Earth observation market in a product. So we started to work how to integrate all the pieces to create this building block approach, and the first product launched on the market was in 2020, so just 1 year ago, for the agriculture market with several customers on this sector. And then we decided also to invest our time and our money in the urban sector, also because it's an emerging topic in Europe. There is the Green Deal in 2020, Green Deal, so the big investment of the European Union to transform the life in Europe with this green approach was just started, and we identified in it an opportunity to grow, also discussing with our potential customers.
Huge. And then how do you grow it from here? So we get the team is very, very strong. Get the product is fantastic. We get the technology that you've built into the product, which has allowed you to do, I love the actionable is like my favorite word. So you've got actionable help and advice and direction that you're going to give to cities. How do you intend to then scale that and take it to a level whereby literally every single city, I would like every single city to almost have a Gartner score. I would like you to almost be the Gartner for the city health, and what they're saying is, yeah, our city health is like a 5.7 according to the Latitudo 40 report. Like that's how they will measure it. Like you are the Dun and Bradstreet, you are the Gartner. Like, so how do you build to that level? What does it look like? And you can talk about how much money you're going to raise, and you can also talk about like how you see the revenue growing or how you see the cities growing. But paint a picture for all of the investors listening about what you're going to do over the next 12 months to 36 months.
Yeah, the first topic is to complete this city index. We are working on this index that can represent the city, because this index can be as an index that can be used in Italy, in US, in Asia, in Africa, so the problem this moment how to have as an index that can be used everywhere in the world. So we have the data. We are speaking with a lot of important cities in Europe to understand what they expect to have in this index. So we are working with them, and this index could be a product that we can sell in a very scalable way to every city in the world. They don't need to buy the technology. They don't need to buy a new software, a new license. They can buy from us the report that they need and the suggestion, the how to improve this index to move from 5 to 7 or to 7 to 10. This is the vision that we can. So for this, we need to enlarge the team with not only people, really technological people. We need to have inside the team people more focused on urban scale. So people like urban planners, urban designers that can speak with the right people in the city to say, okay, you have a problem and we can help to solve your problem. And the other aspect is we need to open to stay very close to the market. So the idea to have an international approach to our company. Europe is too small for this business. We need to address almost United States, but also it's clear that mega cities in this moment are located in Asia, and probably Asia could be one of the markets to enter in, to be, because bigger is the city, bigger are the problem.
Yeah, and so the United States for me was always kind of a no-brainer because there's a lot of money which is already set aside in the United States for the cities. And actually, even though the United States speak about clean power incredibly well, they're terrible at actually implementing anything that actually helps the cities. Like if the scores are bad for anything, they just don't show it. Which is why I love the fact of actually coming out with almost this free report. And it's a free general report that just talks about what are the scores of each one of the individual cities and what are the scores of the countries. And then we say, okay, but if you want us to fix the problem, no problem. Not only can we dig deeper, because you don't just want to know about Los Angeles, like you want to know about Inglewood, about Compton, about Santa Monica. Like you want to know about the individual small places that are 10, 15 square miles and what's happening in those places. Then you want to go down to the half a square mile area to see, is there a problem there? Because to your point, it may well be the city looks great. But the city looks great because there's a bunch of rich people who live beside the equivalent to Central Park in New York, right? The city is not great because the folks who are out in Brooklyn or out in other areas which are outside the island of New York are actually going to benefit from it. They're going to have it much worse. So I think it's really, really powerful entry point. And how much money are you going to be raising to do that?
The idea is our first approach is to raise a couple of million to support this scalability of the project and to validate this approach with new people and the objective to have almost 50 new cities that can use our platform in less than 1 year. So
Fantastic.
our objective is to move from 10 cities, 10, 12 cities to 30, 40, 50 cities and to start from the scalability of the model.
Fantastic.
Also because these open another market, that is the real estate market, that is a sector very close to the urban market, because if we understand how a city is moving, we can collect signals that can be interested for the people in the real estate, and they can decide to invest or disinvest from a part of the city, or they can have the low signal to invest before the mainstream market, because I can see that a part of the city is growing in the quality, so probably the quality of the city of the life can transform in the higher price for house, for buildings, and for every uh, real estate project, and they can have these signals to invest in a city, or if the quality of life is not improving, they can have a signal to disinvest and to use the money to enter in another market that is growing faster.
I love the real estate angle, actually. I think that's really smart because at the end of the day, everybody, it's hard to even quantify how many investors in real estate there are in America. It's almost like every 4 or 5 years, every single citizen of America becomes a flipper and a developer, and they all want the same thing. They all want to be able to find, it's like, what areas should we be investing in? Which areas have got good things that are happening in the future? Not even necessarily good things that have happened before, but which ones are trending in a really good direction. So if you found out there was a city whereby they were implementing a lot of gardens, they were showing that that city was actually doing really well. And these are not, by the way, public parks, everybody. Like, this is about, you can literally have roof gardens. If you add 1,000 roof gardens, and as the government, you incentivize people to put those in place with a minimum amount of greenery in there, just that on its own can change the entire dynamic of a city. It changes the mental health of the people. It changes like how the city looks. It changes actually all of the bad things that you associate with bad health in a city. Like, there's nothing better than bringing greenery. And then it ties into everything else as well at the same time. So I love the angle on real estate, and I think that's really powerful. You also have had already a rock star group of investors. I know Techstars have put some money in as well, right? And they were obviously really happy with you. Now we've put some money in as well, and we're absolutely delighted, couldn't be more pleased with where you're going to in the future. Are you going to be looking at institutional investors, or are you looking for sector-specific investors, i.e. people who are strategically in either the clean energy space, clean world space?
We prefer to have an investor can also be a partner that can give us also the support for the scalability of the market. So if I have the opportunity to select, it's clear that an investor focused on the clean tech market, on the green market is ideal for us, or a corporate investor that can use our technology to improve their technology, their business model, and to give us also more traction for our product. Also because we are addressing a market that potentially can be worldwide market. So
Huge.
this is
Huge. And I believe that when you're looking to build this, as you build it stronger and stronger, more and more institutionals will come in, because there's nobody who doesn't want the world to look like this. It's just going to be about building cities. And what I really like about all of the conversations we've had so far is they're all about growth. They're about, the money will come in, it will be okay, we'll build the money. But what we're focused on right now is growth. We're going to sign up cities, we're going to sign up projects, and then we're going to start to build these reports, so the reports get sent out, and we're going to add more and more data on top of it, so we become impenetrable for anybody else who's trying to come in here, because we literally own every report that you can ever do to make sure that your city is best positioned to be one of the top 10 cities in the world in the area of we care about our citizens, which, by the way, should be the game you all should be playing. So I love where you are right now. I love that we've invested into you. I love what the company are doing and how you're building it. I want to leave the last couple of minutes of the podcast to you so that you can just you're speaking again directly to the investors here. You're talking to them about why you believe that Latitudo 40 is a great investment vehicle. Maybe speak to what that growth looks like as you're building it forward in the future, and how that will tie back to really positive returns for investors right now.
Yeah. Thank you for this space. We are working in a market like the space that is receiving a lot of investment. In this moment, the big part of this investment are oriented to the constellation, to the space, to flying object. It's clear that this flying object will increase the number of images that every day we receive, but at the moment there is very few companies that can take these images and create solution for the market. We are like the transmission chain between this large investment in flying object and the customer that can use the data produced for hundreds or thousands of satellites. Now, a small Earth observation constellation has almost 20 satellites and has an investment of more than 50 million. So the logic is all these investments need to be transformed in money, in data, and in services for the customer that are very far from the satellite. We can be the company that can help to, with our technology, with our business model, to use this data and create the market for the data, because this market is emerging, but is not yet a very huge market that everyone can use. So the satellite imagery market is not like the satellite telecommunication where everyone can buy a satellite phone and call from the desert. We aim to become a company that can do this. So for this reason, it's a good investment in Latitudo 40 that can open a new market.
I think it's a fantastic investment. I couldn't be more pleased that we got invested in. And Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, if you're listening here, you should really pick up the phone and get engaged, because these are perfect partnerships. I want to thank you for letting us invest. Thank you for letting us being a part of your journey. As I said, I could not be more pleased. How can people contact you for anybody who wants more information?
Yeah, they can contact me on gaetano.volpe@latitudo40.com or on our website, that is latitudo40.com.
Wonderful. And if anybody has any difficulties, they can always contact me, and I can either pass on the contact, or I'm happy to talk about why we were so pleased with this investment ourselves. My email is brian@expertdojo.com, as always. Thank you, my friend. We are good to go. This is the beginning. Let's move this thing forward.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
And that's a wrap.